And you are live.
Hello everybody, I'm Richelli, and tonight I will be teaching you guys how to make mushroom ceviche, gazpacho, and we're going to be making vegan caprese salad, okay? So I'm going to start this as it has 3 course, and I'm going to go from the easiest to the hardest. So the easiest tonight will be the caprese, mostly because it's cut vegetables put together in a stack with a little bit of balsamic, and that's that. So, everybody sitting here have a handout? Yes. Fabulous. And I just want to say for our newcomers today, I have 2 basic rules. The first one being phones need to be off or muted. And the second one, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And then my personal rule is that if you guys notice that I go very, 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 very fast, please put your hand up and say, you're going very fast. I'm Latina, that's my thing, so just slow me down, okay?
Okay.
Fabulous. So, for the caprese salad, I know you guys can't see me, but I'm on the other side. I'll be right there. So for the caprese salad, we want a thin slice, a tomato. Obviously, that piece doesn't go on it, but you need very, very thin slices. At the same time, you need it to have that much of the space because you're going to top it with other stuff, and this is going to be basically your base. So let's just get to that. I cheated. I tend to do this. So here we have, these are just 2 tomatoes, thinly sliced and ready to go, right? So for each person, or for each salad, you want to have at least 2 pieces of basil ready, 1 piece of tomato, and then this is the only hard part. You're just gonna slice your avocado, which is really not that hard. These avocados are a little harder than what you find usually when they're ripe. These are actually ripe, but they're a little harder. They are sold in my favorite store. And they are a little harder, but they're still ripe. So you just slice that, and you take them off. And there you have it. That's not that hard. So then you want to take a lemon, and this is what's going to give it that extra thing that you will need to make it taste like you made a salad, or like it has a different texture, because you guys got to remember that avocado, thank you, Mom. Avocado doesn't taste like much. So when you put the acidity on it, it gives it that extra. You see how wonderful this avocado is? It's ripe, but it's not flimsy, so you can actually work the lemon in there without it breaking up on you. So then you take your beautiful piece of tomato, you put 2 slices, 1 slice. Now, one basil leaf. Now, very important. In detox, we don't use salt or pepper. This is the point where usually you put salt or pepper depending on what you like. So if you are on the detox and you can't have salt or pepper, you might want to try what we talked about last class, which was celery seed. It'll give it that salty taste without the actual salt, which is fabulous. So I made this little concoction. It's just balsamic vinegar and raw honey. Everybody okay with balsamic and raw honey? Okay. So you just want to drizzle that on. And again, this is just to flavor the avocado and to give it that little extra thing. And that's it. We got the first part done. Yes, Miss Betty.
Can you keep the, that container of the honey and the balsamic, or at the end of the day when the meal's done, do you throw that out?
No, you can keep it in your refrigerator for a very long time. The reason being is that the balsamic vinegar does not go bad that easy, just like honey, especially if it's raw. If it's processed, it has a little bit less of time frame because of all the things that they put on it. Now, if it's just raw honey, and I used organic balsamic because it doesn't have any sulfates, it won't go bad. You can keep it in your refrigerator. You could say about a week. So it is good up until about a week. And at that point, you just taste it and you check. If it's still good to go, it's still good to go. Any questions aside from these studies? No? I hear so much silence. Why doesn't somebody help me out here? Just pass it out. Okay. There.
One for each person?
I don't know. Sure, why not? There we go.
Well, what made
Over
you
there.
pick,
In the background. Yes.
why did you pick basil as opposed to any other spice, parsley?
Well, when you look up a caprese salad, it'll usually be composed of tomato, mozzarella, basil, and balsamic, right? Or salt and pepper, depending on what region you're using it from. There's the typical one, which comes from Capri in Italy. It's a little island really close to Naples in Italy. And they use tomato, mozzarella, and basil. And that's where the recipe was actually from. So that's why I picked those ingredients. Now, you can change it up. Obviously, everybody can. It's really your choice. But you got to remember that when you change something, for example, I'm putting 1 leaf of the basil, right? Let's say you wanted to use Greek oregano instead, right? I know that's another one that I use a lot. So let's say I want to use Greek oregano instead. To use Greek oregano, you will have to lower the quantity. Even though this looks like a little bit, it's a big leaf. Remember that Greek oregano is a little more, it's a little stronger. So you want to cut down the leaves, and then you put about maybe a half a tablespoon down if you want to change the herb. Okay? Looks like I made enough for everybody. So how's that going, guys? Whoever has some. Very good. So this is a good start to a detox party. You just have that little bit of caprese salad to go with. And it is very simple, very fast, and you can have it on the table for a surprise guest in a jiffy, right? And when you're on detox, you want recipes that you can have ready really fast because you don't want to spend a lot of time making the food plus eating it, and we live really, really hectic lives. So we want to probably cut down on prep time, and this is a really good way to do it. Now, for me, that's just a start. That's how I get my stomach going and ready, to start a full meal. So my next dish, I know you guys are already tasting, and you okay? Mm-hmm. You're already tasting, and this is why the class is so quiet. But I'm gonna go ahead and start on our gazpacho. Gazpacho is a Spain, not yet, My lovely assistant is trying to be very helpful. Oh, in the back. Sorry, they were asking me for forks. They're right there in the back. Mixed with the spoons. The spoons are clear. The forks are white. Just like the napkins are back there. So I'm sorry, I like to eat with my hands, that's why I didn't say it. So,
Thank you.
I'm gonna proceed to the next step of our evening, which would be a gazpacho. Gazpacho comes from Spain, and it doesn't mean anything. It actually, it is actually defined as a little spicy, cold soup. Now in detox, we can't add any hot spices, but who's to say that we can't add extra garlic and make it a little spicy, right? So, this cold soup takes a lot of tomatoes, right? So for this recipe, I wrote down 4 tomatoes on your recipe because you're only going to be making it for yourself. But here, I want to give you guys a real taste of what it is. So I'm going to use a couple more, just a couple, I promise. So, the first thing you want to do is probably dice your tomatoes because you need, if you don't have a Vitamix, your machine is going to start getting a little flooded or flustered or whatever you want to call it. So what we're going to do, can you see that? Perfect. I actually have a Vitamix here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice them and cut them in half. And I'm just going to drop them right in there, okay? And the most important part is that even though this is cold soup, you want to make sure it doesn't taste like salsa. So, when you pick your ingredients, because you can change the ingredients like any other recipe, you can make it your own. You want to make sure that when you change your ingredients, if you're using red bell pepper or green bell pepper, those are very strong flavors. So you want to use half of whatever is on your paper, okay? Because, like I said, it is very strong, and just like using white onion instead of red, it's going to taste like salsa, and that's not what you want to achieve here. You want to make sure that even though it's cold soup, it tastes like soup, and you develop flavors without heating it up. Now, in the last class, I told you guys, well, I told whoever was here, that raw doesn't necessarily mean cold. Raw means under 117 degrees. So, if you have a Vitamix, the Vitamix will actually warm it up for you. Or if you have a dehydrator, you can put it after you make it, you can put it in the dehydrator, it'll warm it up, but it won't cook it. As long as you don't leave it in there forever, it won't cook it. So, you can warm it up for your colder months, but since this is gazpacho, you want to keep it cold. Okay? My Vitamix is looking a little flooded in there. Okay. So, I'm going to add a little cucumber to cool us off and to give it sweetness. But every time I make this soup, I add a special ingredient of some kind. So today, I looked in my pantry, and I wanted to add cumin to it for some reason. So that's what we're adding today, cumin. How fabulous. I have some sliced peppers. These are baby bell peppers, which means they're sweet. So this soup is going to fight the heat of the garlic. So you want to add sweeter ingredients. Now, this is the best onion to use when you're cooking raw. Because the flavor is of an onion, but it's not as strong or it doesn't take completely over. So you want to make sure you use red onion, right? It's not purple, it's red. Okay. They say it's red, but it looks purple. You know, you guys gotta get your colors straight. I'm just saying, get it, you know, I don't know. So, I'm just gonna chop these up a little more before I add them. And the point of this sauce, you guys hear me? I think it's too full. The point of this soup, it is not to turn it into sauce. So, you want to make sure that when you add your veggies, is very last minute. At the very last second, after you emulsify all your tomatoes, and it looks like a lot in there, but once it goes through with the blender, you'll see it's not that much. So, I wanted to chop these up so that you can have texture in your soup. So at the very last second, after the tomatoes and the cucumbers are completely mixed together, I'm gonna add the peppers and the red onion.
What's that?
I know, I love that, that gadget.
Well, this is Roseanne's.
What is
It
it?
is called the food chopper.
The food chopper.
I think I'm putting it the wrong way. Why isn't it staying? Okay. So it is a food chopper. It's a vegetable chopper. And there's no specific company that makes one best than the other. Most of them are the same. Let's push this down to the side. And then we're gonna mix it a little more.
Yeah, it fell off.
You see, gadgets are fun. Sometimes they can be temperamental. There we go. It's not doing anything else. So,
All right, maybe I won't buy it.
see, if it's just a little bit, it's like, it's not worth it.
Are you gonna put it in the Vitamix?
Yes,
And you won't have to worry.
exactly. But I don't want them to be too big when I add them to the Vitamix because I'm only adding it for a second for them to mix together.
Well, why wouldn't you put everything into the Vitamix and then just?
Because you won't have texture after.
You see,
Once
that's
you put it-
emulsify.
Once you put it in the Vitamix, and this is why I don't want to put it in the Vitamix altogether. Once I put it in the Vitamix and I turn that puppy on, it's gone. It's a goner. So you will have a sauce, which is not what we're intending to make. We're intending to make a soup, right? So I don't want to take this off, but I don't want to leave this on.
Would you say that's the same job as your food processor?
Basically, it's just a smaller version of a food processor, and it won't take as much space, obviously not the same amount of energy, so not that I'm selling it to you, but I'm just giving you the pros of why I'm using it.
It's just when I use the food processor, I generally end up getting the onions too small.
Yeah, that's my problem too. That's why I just usually chop them by hand. Today, Roseanne wanted me to use this amazing gadget, which cut my prep time in half. But you can use that. You can use, if you have a magic bullet, you can use magic bullet. If you have a mandolin, use the mandolin and then slice it again. I mean, after you get the little slab, just slice it the other way and you'll get it ready to go. It's not like you need a food processor or anything fancy to make anything with veggies, which is fabulous. So let's see how this goes. Very important, the Vitamix will require some kind of liquid. So I'm using gluten-free, I just have to make it sure that I say that. Gluten-free vegetable broth. And
Vegetable what?
vegetable broth.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I'm using veggie broth is for the soup to gain the consistency I want, to thin it out. so that it is a soup, okay? So the vitamix should be ready to go. I'm gonna turn it on. It's gonna make a lot of noise. See? Gone. It is sad, it's gone. So, I'm gonna do it again, because I'm bad. So after you mix it, you want to check your consistency. Let me see if I can show you guys how it looks right now. It's just liquid. Literally, it's just liquid. So what you want is for it to have little chunks of something in it so that you don't feel like you're just drinking tomato juice. And then you can add the garlic at any time. That's the beauty of this recipe. There's no right or wrong. As long as you add all the ingredients in the end, you should be ready to go. So there is really no right and no wrong procedure.
But with this, with the liquid, you almost like the cucumber.
Hmm?
You put the cucumber in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Smells good.
Then I'm gonna mix that up a little more. I'm gonna make sure that everything is together. The best part of this soup is that since it's cold, it goes straight from your machine. It goes straight from your machine to your plate because it's cold. So that's the best part. There's basically no cleanup. And this step you can actually skip, the balsamic. I'm using organic balsamic vinegar. The reason being is that there's no sulfates in it, so I want to make sure that my food has no sulfates. So you add a teaspoon of this. And then it's sulfites. Sulfites. See, I always say it wrong, no matter what I do.
It's a preservative.
Yes, I know. But I always mess it up.
Like vegetarian.
Yes, like vegetarian. I'm adding in some celery seeds to get it where I want it to go. Mostly because I added extra tomatoes. And then my special ingredient, which is cumin. Also organic. How pretty is that? Okay. And this kind of thing, you kind of want to eyeball it to your taste. Since I'm making it for you guys, I'm not adding as much as that. Just saying. So that's the last step is adding all the cut veggies into your soup. You are going to run this for just a second. Enough time to get the veggies to the lowest part of your Vitamix and off. That's it. So. It's my friend. Okay. Ta-da! Another AC fast, simple recipe for making a jerky. Any questions?
I missed the part, how did you de-seed a cucumber?
Okay. So I already bought it without the seeds. Because they sell this wonderful thing called seedless cucumber. So that you don't have to take all the seeds out. And that, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Why not the seeds?
Because if you don't process it enough, and that's the problem with this, you don't want to process it too much. So you want to try and find that seedless cucumber. In the end, the seeds don't matter. They're not going to kill you. There's nothing wrong with them. They're delicious and they're nutritious. So you can keep them in if you don't find the seedless cucumber, but it is a step that you can skip by just buying it seedless.
The best way to do it is cut it down the middle. Take a spoon and just scoop it out.
Hold on, baby. Hold on.
But like you
So
said,
if it all gets pulverized, what would be the advantage to not having the seeds?
Yeah. I mean, the problem is that it doesn't all get pulverized. Because you're trying to make it so that the soup has texture. So even though you're using a Vitamix,
Even though the tomatoes are emulsified.
exactly, because the tomato's your base, right? Tomato's your base. So tomato's your base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hey.
You guys, why are we talking about vodka? I mean,
Pretty sure that's on the list of things to be taught, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the things that Roseanne talks about in her book. The magic elixir.
It's a cure-all.
That's what she calls it in her book, actually. The magic elixir. What? Why are we talking? Oh, I know why. I just caught it. Okay. I see. You guys are being
Devious.
difficult.
A little shot never hurt anybody.
There we go. So then, you guys, the spoons are in the back. Mariana's going to pass these around.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, fabulous. And I'm touching this with my hand because it's mine. Well, it's mine or Dee's, depending who gets to it first. Fabulous. So let's talk about what really got you to come here today, which was the main topic on our detox class. I left it for the end on purpose. It was the mushroom ceviche.
Yes.
And it is what brought everybody in, but I just want you to understand that this is a recipe that requires a lot of patience. It is easy to make. The problem is, after you make it, you gotta wait. So we're not eating it today. No, I'm kidding. I made it ahead of time. We're gonna use for this recipe very simple ingredient. Very simple ingredient: mushrooms, garlic, peppers, and onions. It is that simple. Now the trick is getting the sauce that you want to give the taste of the ceviche without the oil or the salt or the pepper or the bay leaf. Because if you don't heat up a bay leaf, it's not really doing its job. So, how do you make a sauce for a ceviche without all of these ingredients? You need a heavy ingredient like honey. She's my best friend, that's why it's almost empty. Honey. You want to use beautiful limes. You're gonna use cilantro, and that's your sauce. A, B, C, that's it. So, everybody's so quiet. Oh, you're eating. I'm sorry. It's usually loud. No, I'm kidding. So how's your soup, everybody?
Good, very good.
Good.
Very good?
Need some nachos.
You need some nachos? Okay, hold on.
What is that?
Nachos.
Are going to the front of the class.
I was waiting for somebody to say,
I
it needs
wasn't
something
gonna-
more, it needs something crunchier. But no, everybody's like, it's good. Everything is fine with the world.
Did you make
No,
those
you-
nachos yourself?
These are dehydrated plantain chips. They have no oil and they are 100% raw. Here you go, baby cakes.
Excellent. All right, bring one back here. Okay.
There's one for everybody.
I already got some, we got this test one.
My Sharon's.
So who you bought these like this?
No, I made them. I made them like this. And the recipe is in your little cheat sheets. It is very simple, very fast. The only problem is, again, you gotta wait. So, yeah, I'm a little, you know, I like things fast, ready in a jiffy. So, to me, making this ceviche was like, come on, be ready already. I want to open up and smell it. It's ready to go. Well, that didn't happen. Not once this afternoon when I opened it. After I made it this morning. I made it this morning around 8 o'clock. I opened it at 9, I opened it at 10, I opened it, it didn't work. It didn't work no matter what I did, it didn't smell ready. So what you want to do is you can either slice your mushrooms like this, and you're gonna find when I pull out the one that I already made, you can slice it like this, or if you want the actual ceviche effect, you're gonna break it apart with your hands. And what's gonna happen is that you're gonna see the little fibers in your mushroom. It's gonna trick your mind saying it's fish. So you want to break it apart with your fingers, and you don't want to cut it with a knife. It's not the same effect. Besides, it's more fun. It's funner this way.
I actually have ceviche in my refrigerator.
You just get to mush it all together.
I won't make it.
And ceviche is usually made out of raw fish.
It's cooking wine.
And it gets soaked in lime for a while, usually a couple, 5-6 hours. But overnight is the best. So when you make this mushroom ceviche, if you can wait overnight, the mushroom will act just like the fish. So it'll act like a sponge, and it'll soak up all the goodness that you put in your mixture. Another thing is that if you're not fully raw and mushrooms give you discomfort, you can cook it for a little bit, put it on your stove, toss it around. You're gonna notice, as soon as you notice that the mushroom amount has gone down, you turn it off so that you don't lose all the valuable, nutritious deliciousness. Besides, it'll start really, really like a lot, and then it'll be like nothing. And you kind of need a little something to nibble on. So you want to make sure that if you're going to cook it down just a little bit. Just like your vegetables. Everybody has a different way of eating, and we totally respect that. So if you need to cook it down a little bit, just make sure that you cook it just a little bit and not to killing the whole thing. So I'm having so much fun. I'm out of mushrooms. Okay. So I only used half of the amount that is on your paper to show you guys, because I wanted to use as many mushrooms. I feel like I need to smell.
Does it matter what kind of mushrooms you use?
I prefer white button mushrooms because of the texture,
Okay.
but you can use oyster mushrooms. You can use portobellos. You can use the baby bellas, that's fine, or Carmenia
A
mushroom,
mix of each?
that's fine. You can make a mixture and use different kinds. That'll get tastes. Right now, there's a supermarket. Can I just say the name? Okay. So Publix now is selling, it used to only sell, or I used to only see dried mushrooms, the shiitake and all of those. They now have them fresh and ready to go. So, because it's season. So you can go up to where they have the portobello or the white button mushrooms, and if you look the cremini and the shiitake look very similar. The difference is the stem. The stem is very, very thin on the shiitake. So that one you won't be able to pull apart with your hands. You're gonna have to slice it because it's a little rubbery, so you wanna slice it.
Well, that was very neat.
That was
Okay.
really, really meaty. And the fiber, when you cut it apart, it's gonna have like little fibers just like fish. So if you really, really want something that resembles fish, that's one of the ones to go to, the shiitake mushroom. So, now, bam. 1/3 of a cup is usually about 2 of these, 2 lines. So since I only have half of it, I'm only gonna use 1 line without dropping it, obviously. And what's gonna happen is that if your mushrooms are, oh, something I didn't tell you, when you're gonna clean your mushrooms, make sure you don't pour them, like put them under water, because they are just like sponges. So as soon as you put it under water, it'll puff up, and then when you cut it or when you cook it down, you're gonna have double the water content. So if you put them underwater and you put lime on it, it's just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's not gonna taste the same.
So how do you clean them?
You take a little, with a lot of patience, you take a little paper or a little towel, you wet the tip, and you take them by the stem, and you wash the top, and then you flip it, and you wash the bottom, and then you can cut them.
Okay.
Just know that it'll look like they're dirty once you start cutting them, because
Okay.
the gills,
Yeah.
it'll get on the white side. But, I mean, if you're not slicing them and you're cutting them with your hands, it won't happen. But if you're slicing them first, like you have to, it'll get a little dirtier on the outside, but it's still clean because you took the time and you're not eating dirt. Even though dirt is delicious, you don't want to eat dirt in this dish. So you take your lime, you take your honey, bam, and then you take your fresh cilantro. I know, it's the bomb. And this you're gonna use as much as you want. I put an amount there, but to each his own, okay? To each his own. I'm so professional mixing with a knife. Okay, that's it. It's not hard at all. Now, you just want to throw your mushrooms with your onions and your peppers. Mix them all together. And know that if you cook it down a little bit, at least your peppers and your onions, you feel like your ceviche is done faster. For some reason it does.
What was that?
This is minced garlic,
Okay.
which is very, very important because I love it. That's why it's important. I'm glad everybody's on the same page. And as soon as you add that, you're gonna notice that your mushrooms are gonna turn a different color. That's perfectly fine. They're bound to change colors because you're adding acidity to something, well, alkaline acidity, but it's still acid. So your mushrooms are gonna react to whatever you put in them. They're sponges. I'm gonna keep saying that until I understand it myself. Now, you guys are gonna see that my mushrooms just grew a little. That's because of the liquid. So once they're in the liquid for a little while, they'll get tired of holding it in. And this is what happens.
What about, you didn't put the vegetable broth in?
I didn't put it in because I want to do it when I get home, but yes, you're supposed to add
Okay,
vegetable broth.
so it would be wetter than what you have right there.
It'll soak up more because it's not like you're adding a whole lot of veggie broth either. You're just adding a little bit to give it a little liquid to float around in and for the ingredients to be together, basically. But it's not like you're adding enough for it to be a stew, which is very important. So if you decide to double your recipe, just make sure that once you add that ingredient, it's not floating around. If it starts floating around, you need to remove some of the liquid. Okay?
So do the mushrooms eventually liquefy?
No, the mushrooms actually, I'll show you what happens. The mushrooms, these are in between sliced. So the mushroom starts to get soft because it's in liquid, but it doesn't retain all of the liquid, which is fantastic. And that is what you're looking for. As soon as it's that, you can say it's done. Now, remember, the more you leave it in the liquid, the better it'll get. It'll just get better and better and better. Now, 2 days is more than enough time. After that, it'll start smelling bad. You have to throw it away, okay? So which is not something you keep in your refrigerator forever.
Make today to eat tomorrow.
Exactly. You make it today, you're ready to eat tomorrow. And I want to talk to you guys about resistant starch and chips. And resistant starch is what's in the plantain, it's what's in the sweet potato, it's what's in regular potatoes. It is what, when you boil it, it's what comes to the top, that's just resistant starch. And any resistant starch root vegetable, or in the case of the plantains, vegetable, can be made into a chip really, really easy with very little ingredients and very, very fast. All you gotta do, and my trick to getting them that thin and crunchy fast, is, look at that, that's just beautiful. My trick is you take a potato peeler, and after you cut them, after you peel it, right? If you want to peel it, for example, potato, you can keep the skin if you like. Just know that you're gonna have a chip that's gonna be actually skinned. You can take the skin off, and then you take the potato peeler, and you slice them, and it'll turn them into, I'm gonna that one, because it's delicious, into this. And the best part about this is that I didn't have to fry them to get them to this consistency, and I didn't have to add much to them. These only have lemon juice, honey, and Italian seasoning. The ones I made yesterday had oregano, Italian seasoning, the same basic stuff. So as long as you have one liquid in a brush, you can just flavor them, put them in your dehydrator for 9 hours. Now, if you don't have a dehydrator, you cut the time in half and you put them at 200 degrees, okay? And then you shut, okay? So if it's 9 hours, I'm very bad at math, so I'm gonna say it's 4 point something.
Like you can do like lime and garlic.
You can do lime and garlic. You can do any basic flavorings that you want. Mostly you want to make sure that you use a wet ingredient with a dry ingredient. So for these, I actually use dried oregano, right? But dried Italian seasoning. I did put some garlic into them, but I made sure that it didn't have too much because I know some people are a little bit iffy about garlic. Not me, I love garlic. I put garlic on everything. But I know that not everybody's like me, so I gotta make sure that everybody likes what I make. So these have a little bit of garlic, and they're crunchy because they've been dehydrated for 9 hours. The best part about a dehydrator is that you can put them when you go to sleep, and when you wake up, it's ready to go. Any questions so far? I mean, I didn't make anything too hard today, so there are not many questions.
How much is that dehydrated?
How much is a dehydrator? Well, if you're like me, you're a bounty, a hunter, you can find them from $60 to $70. Now, that was in a really good sale. I haven't found it again. Regular cost is around 90 to it goes from a big range. It could go from 90 to 300, depending on
90.
1, 2, 3, 4. And one more. You don't want any? You're good to go. Okay. So dehydrators can range from very little to a lot, basically. Now the chips, when you take them out in the morning, they're a little crispier. And what you gotta make sure of with these chips is that they stay crisp. That's why they were in a bowl with, I'm glad, I'm seeing yes. So they were in a bowl with plastic paper because it has to be sealed almost completely tight.
What do you mean plastic paper?
It had, what is it that you guys call that?
Saran wrap.
Plastic wrap.
Okay.
And had the plastic wrap all around and then the other way, and then I put the top on. I wanted to make sure that they were still fresh for tonight, right? Any questions? Any at all?
Very good.
Can you have more chips? Yes, everybody can have more chips, as many chips as they want. Please have chips.
Actually, this is delicious.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
I'm very glad that you guys think that way because it is very, very hard to get veggies to, I'll be right with you. It is very, very hard to get veggies to resemble different cuisines. And that's what we did tonight. We did Italian, we did Spanish, and we did Peruvian food. And they're all, uncooked to perfection. That's the best part. You didn't have to turn on the stove for anything. Yes,
What can you add the ceviche to? Like, can you cook other things with it?
absolutely. What I would do with ceviche is actually, oh, very important. I forgot one little thing. Hold on. I'm gonna go to each zone. Hold on. This is a salsa that goes on top of the ceviche. And this is made with just tomato, regular onion, cucumber to cool. Oh, you already done.
A little bit.
And then right before you're ready to serve, you cut the avocado. And then you top it, right?
So let me ask you something. I love spice in my ceviche.
Yes.
I can put spice in this.
Well, you're not on detox, so my answer is yes.
Oh, okay, because you can't chop up a jalapeno and,
Exactly.
I see.
Now,
Sorry.
you can put in jalapeno, serrano pepper, you name it, you can put it in. Like this recipe that I found called for cayenne pepper. And this recipe has been modified to be a part of the detox,
Right.
right? But the original recipe had 1 tablespoon of olive oil, salt, pepper, and it had serrano pepper in it, which is very spicy. Now, it did call for more honey because it's trying to fight the heat with the serrano pepper. And remember, if you're gonna use a hot pepper, make sure to take out the seeds if you don't want extra heat. Okay? Does that answer your question? Fabulous.
I think I would want this like more tangy.
Mm-hmm.
So would there be any problem in increasing the lime juice and like
Absolutely not.
increasing the vegetable?
Absolutely not. It is really your choice. You can even take the, help me out, guys,
The zest.
the zest, see,
Yeah.
of the lime, and that'll give it a more tangy sensation. Okay? You can change the lime juice for, well, you can add lime juice to orange juice and maybe lemon, and that'll give you a different flavor profile. Just remember that you want to keep the basics together. Something that's heavy, like honey or oil, if you're not on detox, and an acid. After that, you can play around with whatever you like. You can add a different spice, like you can add like thyme or oregano or whatever you want to it. Just make sure you play around with it and you make it your own. Every time you make it, it's gonna be different. Never ever, I want you to make you guys the same. I want you guys to make exactly what I make here. Because the idea is for you guys to get the basics here. When you go home, you go to your refrigerator and you go, okay, what do I have? It's not about you guys buying exactly what I make. It's for you guys to be able to learn the technique of how to do it in the end. So yes, you can change whatever you like. Any other questions? No?
I love all the colors.
I know, it is a very colorful dish. And when you cook when you're on a detox or when you're on a strict vegan diet, you want to make sure you eat all the colors of the rainbow, because it'll give you all the nutrients you need. So make sure you eat all the colors of the rainbow. And if you can get all the colors of the rainbow in one plate, why not? You know, this is the perfect example. I look at Jordan and he's just looking down at it like, I ran out of chips.
Sorry, this is delicious, but I like cooked things. I really do, but this is fantastic.
No, what you can do is actually,
Yeah,
yeah, it is.
it is not being
So what you the problem is that ceviche is supposed to be cold, but you can totally change this up and turn it into a mushroom salad and do a bed of veggies, add all the ingredients that are in here on a skillet, mix it around, put it on top of your salad, and you have a completely different dish.
I do
In
that
less
with
than time.
potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
I get some potatoes and then I
Mix them together with veggies and you're ready to go.
Also, you can saute the onion, pepper, and garlic, saute it first, and
then you add it.
Add it.
So the
That's the
idea,
word I'm looking for.
Saute.
saute, yeah.
accepted.
Which that's a sazon. You know,
That's a
the
basic,
chili, which they call it.
that's a basic, what do we call it, Moraima? Mom, help me out.
What?
What
are you talking about?
The base, sofrito.
Sofrito.
We call it sofrito, that's what we call it. So if you add the peppers, the onions, the garlic, and your lime juice to your mushrooms when they're cooking down, you can just cook it all down together and eat it hot. It doesn't have to be cold. That's the best part. You can make whatever you like with this. It's not like fish where if you do make ceviche out of fish and then you cook it down, it's just gonna go the wrong way. It's just gonna be tough and not very delicious. So is everybody content with the cooking class tonight?
Yes.
Was the food to everybody's liking?
Yes.
Fabulous. Any questions? I finished pretty fast today because nobody asked me any questions.
This is a silly question.
No silly
It has
questions.
to do with raw food.
Mhm.
But every cooking show, the cook just takes the lemon and squeezes it right into the food, and it's like, it's not nearly so easy when I do it at home. It's like, what about the seeds? It's like, I don't want the seeds in there. So I always stop and do it over a strainer, and then it has to go into something, and then it's like, what happened to the seeds?
What they actually don't show you is
Yeah.
that they already have the food prepared, but they're cutting it over the
Take the
something.
seeds out.
This is
They've already
the
done
trick.
that.
You
It's
guys,
like, guys, looks so
No.
nice, chopped, squeezed.
that's not it. That's
I
not it.
had three.
You wanna press it down.
Because I did that.
You wanna
For the
You want to
juice.
push it down for the juice, right?
Yes.
And the reason I'm putting on my glove is as it follows. This is the trick that nobody sees on TV, but always happens because they don't stop to show you what they did. You put your hand down on the bowl,
Oh, I do that.
and you want to make
sometimes.
sure that
Yeah.
the juice hits your palm first,
Oh,
so that if there's any seeds going down, you can close,
uh-huh.
throw. And go
Ah,
So you want to make sure you hit your palm.
okay.
This one doesn't have any seeds, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
lines are wonderful. I don't worry
And
about
then
lines.
You open up your palm and just juice goes down. Now,
Okay.
let's say it's a lemon and a bunch of seeds are in it. So once you press down, like I did it this with the other one. Because we don't stop to tell you what we're doing.
Right.
We just say, okay, we're squeezing it in, and you're looking at me because I'm talking, but you're not looking at what I'm doing down here. So you want to make sure, see, there's a seed. And the beauty of your fingers is that they're never, never, never fully closed. So you
Right.
just have to open them a little.
Okay.
You let it go down, right? And I have the seeds in my hands, so I throw it out.
Okay.
Ta-da!
Cool.
There you go. And it is not a silly question. I had that question too. I was like, how do they do that? I want to see what they do. You know how many times
Rewind.
what do you call that? Freeze frame? I went to
Frame.
freeze frame. I went 1, 1, 1. Oh, there it is. Now we're back. Hold on. How do you do it again? There it is. So it is very easy to do as long as you know what you're doing. Any other questions? No questions are silly. No? Okay, then we're good to go, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank
It was a pleasure having you over for dinner.
Bravissimo.
Really good. All right, thank you. Cut the feet. Bye.
Bye.